Good afternoon, friends. The moment we've been all waiting for. The verdict in the Karen Read trial is in. After a very first little premature start, we had Judge Canoni come in the courtroom, Ed, just about a half hour ago and state that they had a verdict and then that we didn't. Our heads have been spinning. I want to thank everybody for being here. I know that there's many other trial channels that are streaming this the last couple of days, but we have a verdict. Ed, your thoughts on what we witnessed here? Never saw anything like it.
The drama in this case is just unbelievable. I mean, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Okay,
right?
It's unbelievable. We're going pins and needles now. Pins and needles, folks.
Let's take a listen into some live coverage.
We've learned a verdict has been reached in the Karen Read murder retrial. We expect the court to reconvene shortly and for the jury to be brought in. Also, you might have noticed in your picture a greater number of police officers. It's my understanding that once a verdict is reached, there is a different public safety plan that goes into effect. And we're probably seeing the beginning stages of that right now on the street right outside the Norfolk County Superior Courthouse. There are a lot of people in that area right now, JC.
It's hard to get a full concept of it simply because, once again, the buffer zone, if you watched during the first trial, there was so much noise and commotion and color and folks around the actual steps. This time, again, they have been pushed back. So when this verdict comes down, that feeling, that moment will be different than the first time. And I'll be curious to see what that moment is like if Karen Read does walk out of those steps. Melody Mendez is outside with that crowd. Melody?
Yeah, JC and Glenn, I wanted you guys to come back out here very quickly because you can see behind me. See what these cops are doing right now? You've got some Dedham police officers here. They are shutting down the street, and that is because they have just gotten word that there is, in fact, a verdict, and they do not want traffic. This is High Street and Court Street. This is right in the heart of Dedham Center. You can hear the police officer there. He is the Dedham police officer telling these cops to, hey, get through, go through the intersection. They are clearing the road. State police have used their SUVs to block the area. You can see one shady SUV right there. There is one about 3 blocks further down, but this is in the heart.
Okay.
Everywhere, and now you see the gates that are going up. Those gates are going up because they are blocking off that roadway, and now it's starting to set in. It seems with the crowd, it's starting to become clear that we do have a verdict. You can actually tell that if you heard the people cheering just a moment ago, you could tell when those barricades went up. As soon as they saw that was an indicator to them, because I was speaking with our reporters who are in among those folks just a moment ago, and they were saying, I said people are hearing that a verdict's come down. No one's quite believing it. I think this is the moment, you guys, where the crowd is finally starting to believe it, because now they're seeing police and law enforcement reacting to the word of a verdict. And if they're reacting, that gives it credibility, right? So now we're seeing they've already blocked off one lane. They're going to do their best to block off this other lane as they get the rest of these cars from 3 blocks back through the intersection, but they are being very cautious this time around. They do not want cars going back and forth through this intersection when the verdict is read. They just want to keep things very safe, obviously, trying to keep as few people in this very busy area as possible. So just to give you some perspective of what you're seeing here, you've got several local police officers, 8 or 10 of them. They are just the ones doing traffic enforcement right now. Then you have police officers from several departments across the area, all over Norfolk County. In fact, they are helping with crowd control. And then you have the state police here as well. And they are ultimately keeping that buffer zone, or what was the buffer zone, safe. They're trying to basically keep everybody behind these barricades and just keep things safe as the energy in this crowd ramps up, which I would imagine it will continue to ramp up as we get closer and closer to a verdict. We heard.
And I'm going to lower the volume as we listen and watch outside of the courthouse in Denham, Massachusetts. You know, Ed, the supporters and the crowd have been nothing but compliant the second time around. They've been very quiet and using the I love you hand signals when Karen Read and her family comes into the courthouse. The attorneys are messaging them back with the I love you hand signals. So I don't anticipate any problems here, but the police have to do this, right? This is just protocol when you have big crowds, just in case, crowd control, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's been peaceful thus far, and so there's no There's no inkling that anything non-peaceful is going to happen. But look at the numbers. You can see it there. It's a pretty sizable supporters and protesters, right?
Right.
I hope, obviously we would have them separated with a good amount of police officers and barricades so that the two can't get at each other and they don't impede vehicular traffic.
Right, exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's public safety is what this is about.
Set up so the folks on the other side of the street, they've been here throughout the course of the trial. On the other side of the street, they're going to move these barricades into the center of the street, and then they'll allow the crowd to come up to that point. They've also started to put a line of cars in as well, police cruisers to sort of serve as blockades, and this will be in here and in place when the verdict is read. The folks, as I said, they have been outside here for a couple of days now, and they've been in that location. They've been sort of built up and standing there. They will be able to get a little closer.
And, Ed, I wanted to lower it because at this point, everybody that's outside of that courthouse, they know the verdict is in and they're just waiting for it to be read. Everybody's on their smartphones, on their iPads. People are watching Law and Crime and all the various court TVs and various YouTube channels that have been streaming this every day since Friday on the verdict watch. We've held back because, again, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. So you and I both agreed that we would, just watch the things that are ongoing and happening. And we've been communicating back and forth with each other. But Ed, I want to go back to that premature verdict handing of the verdict slip and Judge Bev saying we're going to put it, we're going to seal it and put it in record and all that stuff. Hey, your thoughts on that? I know that we talked a little bit about it before we went live.
Well, I never saw anything like this. Okay. I've never, never saw somebody say, okay, we got a verdict, fill out the form, give it to the court officer, and then knock on the door real quick and say, well, we changed our mind. And,
Yeah.
and then they didn't pull back the verdict form. They just kept it and they sealed it. Well, at that point, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this, but in my opinion, they should have just, that thing should have been shredded or burned, something. I mean, it shouldn't be lying around anymore. Okay. But she put it into, she put it in as evidence. Okay. Which was far more than what the, Proctor and Yuri and the other people did with the evidence they recovered from the scene. So it's just amazing. And then went back in. So apparently they came to a verdict, had lunch, and then changed their mind. And then they worked it out and came to another verdict. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was saying to Kristen before, I've never seen anything like it, and I'm trying to go back and roll back to get to that part, and I think I have it saved because believe me, Ed, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. So
I mean,
let me see.
They have to understand too. The world is watching this trial, and it's just getting more and more bizarre. You got people out there in that crowd that have, on their own dimes and time, have come here from all over Europe and other parts of the world.
Oh yeah, yeah. Utter insanity. Let's go to this and just take a listen to it as it
Look at that
unfolded.
crowd.
As those came out and those supporting either police officers or John O'Keefe or however they wanted to present themselves, at times they could be, yelling back and forth at each other. All of that was.
And this crowd has doubled probably since this.
Room. Yeah. And that's been eliminated this time. And you have to be impressed that the crowd is silent. I mean, they have held to that. Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, went up to them and said, you need to quiet down and I believe to play.
Back on the bench, and she's about to.
Here we go. Let's listen to this.
I appreciate you all.
All right, I just want to preface for everybody that's listening. This is a replay of what happened just, oh God, what was that? Maybe 35 minutes ago. So let's just take a listen to this. Again,
Okay,
this is
folks,
not the verdict.
This is not the verdict. This is the replay.
This is a replay of the verdict, and we're being very transparent about that.
The non-verdict.
Back here.
Replay of the verdict and non-verdict.
During the luncheon break, I received word from a court officer that the jury had knocked on the door, indicating that they had a verdict. But before I could even summons everybody into court, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict. So I asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it. And to...
Mr. President.
All right, this is live. This is live, guys.
Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict? Yes. Thank you. May I see the papers?
Here we go.
Mr. Foreman, has the verdict slip been placed in this envelope and have they been in your presence ever since? Yes.
This is now live. I skipped ahead. They are in the courtroom. The verdicts are being looked at by the judge and the
Mr. Foreman, on docket
clerk.
number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you? No. Do you agree? Yes. Do all of you agree? Yes. Thank you. 002, what say is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty? Not guilty. Is not guilty or guilty of that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Guilty. So say you all?
Yes, guilty.
003, what say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Okay, so guilty of the OUI.
Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records that you upon your oath.
Is that what I heard?
On 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating in the
Yes.
of liquor, and 003 is not guilty. Thank you.
All right.
All right. So they split the baby on the OUI.
Jurors, we thank you for your service. We're going to send you back to services in the state. I'd like to see that.
What we're hearing is the crowd outside, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Unetti is crying.
Not guilty on counts 1 and 3. Count 2, lesser charge 5, OUI, guilty.
Absolutely. Look at Unetti. He's wiping tears from his eyes. This is how emotionally invested this team is. And Karen Reed is visibly shaking. There
It's
he
over.
is.
It's over, folks. Except for now there's going to be appeal on that OUI charge, which, as I said earlier, is the easiest of all the 3 charges to probably overturn.
Guilty for one of the lesser included offenses, and that offense is operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. Let's listen in again.
Found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation in writing within 10 days that you do not want these.
Looks like the O'Keefe family left the courtroom. There's nobody there.
Form, which is posted on the trial court's website on mass.gov.
Can you put the volume up a little bit, or that's it?
Submitted to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form.
It's all the way up.
Please be aware that if the records regarding the charges which you have been found not guilty are sealed, you will be unable to access the sealed record of the not guilty dispositions or any other records regarding those charges. If you want copies of any documents regarding those charges before the records are sealed, you should request copies from the court within 10 days.
They got up and walked out, Ed.
All right, so we need a date for sentencing. Can we do it next week?
We would be prepared to go forward today.
Okay. Okay.
Right, they just said they're looking to set a date for sentencing. Prosecution says they are prepared to move forward today. I think the most startling part after we heard the verdict was the volume of the cheers that you could hear right.
You could hear it very
inside
clearly.
Oh,
the
yeah.
courtroom.
Very clearly, you could hear those cheers. And sentencing, as you mentioned, JC. would be-
There's the O'Keefe family. There's Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe wiping tears away. Ed, emotional. As I said, I didn't see the O'Keefe family. They didn't stay once these verdicts were read. I guess they must have left the courtroom. I'm going to go back and take a peek at it. And we'll watch it over again because we missed a little bit of it. So let me just, your thoughts, Ed.
I pray for the O'Keefe family to open up their hearts and find their religion, and go back to their faith and understand that there's still going to be justice, I believe, for their son. I believe the feds are going to step in now. I believe the feds have never really closed the case and been monitoring this and watching this. And hopefully they'll step in and we'll get justice for Officer John O'Keefe.
The problem here is that we now need them to find the real murderer of police officer John O'Keefe. And as we know from previous trials and previous high profiles and previous low profile trials, it somehow doesn't seem to get done. But we hope that there's some miracle here where, like you said, if the feds step in, they get down to the truth and they find out what happened on that fateful evening. They find out what happened inside of 34 Fairview, and who, if it's one or more people, who are responsible for his death. Let's listen in because we missed this. This is a replay of the jury reading of the court reading the jury's verdict. I want to pay special attention to the O'Keefe family and see, because I wasn't watching that part, but I did see that they were gone.
Defendant remains standing. All other parties may be seated.
I don't think you could see the family.
All deliberating jurors and 6 alternates are present.
Yes.
Stand quiet.
Yes.
Mr. Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict? Yes. Thank you. May I see the papers? Mr. Foreman, has the verdict been placed in this envelope and the date in your...
Be in Trouble is in the audience. I just want to give him a shout out. Hey, great job. All the work that you did. It was true science, unlike the paint job by Aperture.
Absolutely. Be in Trouble. Thank you for all you've done.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you?
Yeah, they're there. You can see them.
No.
Okay.
Do you agree? Yes. Do all of you agree? Yes. Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty? Not guilty.
Of.
Is not guilty or guilty of that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Guilty. So say you all?
Yeah, guilty.
003, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records it. You upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
All right, jurors, everybody please be seated. Jurors, we thank you for your service. We're going to send you back to service.
They're leaving now. The O'Keefes are leaving now.
They're crying. I could see it.
Yeah.
Very upset. You know, there's no winners here. When you see this, I mean, look, winner in as it pertains to Karen Read, obviously innocent, proven innocent in a court of law. She was tried by a jury of her peers. They are the fact finders. But my heart breaks for the O'Keefe family. It really does, Ed, and I know yours does too, because
right, they just got the wrong. They just threw all their anger and hate and hopes on the wrong person. All right, okay, this wasn't the person. The science doesn't lie. People lie, and we saw plenty of people in the prosecution's case that lied. Okay, out and out lied. And then we saw the defense actually proved there was no accident, which wasn't their burden. They didn't have to do that, but they did it. They were able to scientifically and medically show that Officer John O'Keefe did not get hit by Karen's SUV. That's the bottom line.
No jury that was paying attention with common sense could come to a guilty verdict as it pertains to the top charge. And they came back with a just verdict. And I believe that the defense is going to be able to, fight this OUI charge because, again,
the science with the OUI charge, this is why it's going to be easily overturned on appeal, is because they can't say when she had her last drink.
Right.
Okay, so therefore those numbers, even the analyst who did the numbers for the Mass State Police Lab said, all of this is an exercise in futility if we don't know when she had her last drink.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, again, you know, you can see Miss Little and Attorney Jackson hugging, an emotional day, build up, just 2 trials. How many hours was this, Ed? How many hours were they, deliberating? Many, days. And we weren't sure if we were going to get to it today.
Yeah, well, it's far less than the amount of hours it took in trial 1.
Absolutely.
Can we do it next week?
We would be prepared to go forward today.
Oh, see, Brennan wanted to go forward today.
Yeah, of course.
You hear that prick? He wanted to go forward today with sentencing because he was hoping Judge Canoni would remand her.
Can we do it next week?
We would be prepared to go forward today.
Yeah, we are prepared to go forward today. Good catch, Ed.
The same prosecution says they are prepared to move forward today. I think the most startling part after we heard the verdict was the volume of the cheers that you could hear right
You could hear it very
inside
clearly.
the courtroom.
Next step, the probation is more likely for a first offense, so we'll have to see what the sentencing is ultimately.
Yeah, that's what we
Like
talked
you're
about
right,
the other
2.5
night, Ed.
years, but that is very rare.
I was listening to a former prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney from the state of Massachusetts, and she was saying that first-time offenders are given probation and no jail time. It's a drinking and driving program that's mandated by the state of Massachusetts. And many defendants tried in that very same building, in that very same court, received that as a first-time offender. Karen Read has not been arrested ever in her life up until this point. So she would be considered a first-time offender if they do not win an appeal here.
Well, the appeal comes later.
I'm saying at the end of the day, this is what she'd be looking at: just probation, no jail time.
But I don't trust Bev. I don't trust this judge one bit. Okay, yeah. I don't trust her. She can give her up to 2.5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what Brennan recommends, because he's a prick. Okay, yeah. So you could see how he wanted to jump right in here now and go into sentencing because he wants time. He wants jail time.
The whole world's watching, and Bev knows it. And I want to get to outside the courthouse. I want to see some of the footage from outside the courthouse. So let me just go live here.
Decided to help pro bono, joined the arms flew up, and it was
motion that is just starting to, I would assume, start to leave their bounds. What will sit aside? But there you can see live pictures of
that was Turtle Boy. Yeah, that was Turtle Boy.
Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe. And Karen standing right in front of him in that light blue suit.
The jury got it.
Allowed to leave.
They got it right.
They took in all the science. They took in all the medical findings, and they got it.
Guilty of OUI.
They got it right.
Unequivocally, a win for the defense.
Oh yeah.
After 2 trials, 3.5 years.
Now,
2 trials that took about 8 weeks to complete.
All those people that lied on the stand, all those people that perjured themselves and then testified that they perjured themselves in the grand jury, they got to be shitting bricks right now.
Oh yeah, big time. Jers, thank you for saying that. Don't trust Bev or Brennan. Absolutely. Let's listen.
Crowds have been going wild, and it's really interesting because it goes up and down depending on who's walking out. So right now you're seeing the media walked out and they went nuts. Our Sue O'Connell walked out. Now you see reporters from the other stations, national reporters, and they went crazy. Now walking out right now are members of Karen Read's team walking out to this screaming Turtle Boy. As you can imagine, when he walked out, there was absolutely
that's Attorney Little.
From the crowd.
No.
Oh, that's just one of her supporters. That's right. I've seen her on YouTube.
She's there with her every day.
Yeah. We saw the O'Keefe family go in the side ramp. My guess is we will not see them coming out My guess is they will be allowed to go out through.
Those court officers were not having that. They were not happy about that. Did you see him saying, get down, get down? You know, that, look, last thing that any of the law enforcement want is someone inciting a riot. They're not, she wasn't trying to do that. That's just
Look, nobody's charging the court. Nobody's charging the court. These people are cheering.
Emotion. Right. But I just want to give for everyone that's watching the perspective is that they just want them to go down there and go out of the court. But how do you not? This is emotion. This is pure emotion.
After two trials, right? How do you not?
Yeah.
Now we finally get justice. We finally get justice for Karen. Now we got to get justice for John O'Keefe. Okay. And they know who they are. All of those players know who they are. Okay. And they got to be shitting bricks right now. And I hope the feds swoop in shortly and suck them all in.
Watch these guys, especially this guy right here. Go, he's saying.
Screaming. Turtle Boy, as you can imagine, when he walked out, there was an absolute uproar from the crowd. Folks on the Reed team pumping their fists. We haven't seen her main legal team quite yet. And I do want to point out that we saw the O'Keefe family go in the side ramp. My guess is we will not see them coming out.
See, they're pointing fingers. Get out. Get down here.
It's going to be interesting to see if any of the jurors give interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. It's electric out there.
Because I'm tired of seeing those two former jurors, Mr. Bowtie and so forth, and their interviews.
You guys, the only thing I can equate this to is.
Shout out to Amazing Aunt checking in from Italy. She's in Italy right now, so she's checking in.
This crowd went crazy. Arms flew up, and it was incredibly loud. I turned around. There's a group of attorneys that were standing on the corner of the street, and they asked me, "Who is that?" And I said, "Turtle Boy," and they said, "Oh, that makes sense." Of course, he is the online blogger who has been largely at the center of the reporting of this case, at least in the beginning stages, and has continued to do
yes,
so.
Karen is free. Yes.
I hope this town and this county understands the ramifications of these findings and what it means for going forward their daily work and their daily business, because what's been done in the past isn't going to be tolerated anymore.
Amen, brother. Amen. A lot of emotion. I just want to see. Hold on.
And David Yannetti, an emotional moment. Excuse me, Yannetti, the local guy, Alessi. Two of the interns got applause as well as they were walking out. Oh, now they've just been allowed to get back into the crowd here. You can see the court officers, too, standing at attention at the steps of the courthouse. So what happens now, guys, and we've seen this for the last 8 weeks play out. You see in the main shot on your screen right now, those officers, right behind them, right behind those glass doors, are the metal detectors, and right behind those metal detectors is where the Reed team will kind of stand. They congregate.
Oh, wait a minute here, Ron.
Yeah.
Fox News is reporting that Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan requested 1 year probation for Karen Reed on the guilty charge.
Yeah, that sounds like right in line with no jail time.
And entered into a 24D outpatient program. A 24-day outpatient program.
Right. That's what I heard that attorney that I just referenced before talk about. It's a program that you go on for first-time offenders, no jail time, probation, and it's basically a slap on the wrist. I think her attorneys are going to accept that, and and then try to fight it later. But
yeah, they'll appeal.
They'll appeal, but again, it's a slap on the wrist, and Karen Reed is free. She is free from those severe charges, murder in the second degree, and she's good to go.
I'm happy to hear that Brennan did that, and so there's no shenanigans with this. And let's see what Judge Bev does with it next week.
Look at this crowd.
Yeah, it's funny because all this is occurring as they announced today in the news that Higgins is selling his house and moving out of Dodge.
Jesus.
team, of course, we have Spacey with the
I want to see the statements from Karen Reed's team.
from New York. He took
There's Turtle Boy.
You'll also see Elizabeth Little. She is from Allen
Are they going to arrest and indict
They call her
everybody that was at the waterfall last and drove home drunk to the Alberts house?
Yeah, they should. Janelle Woodwork brings up a great point there. Thank you for highlighting that, Kristen. The most expensive OUI case in the state, in the history of Massachusetts, probably in the history of the United States. They spent millions on both trial number 1 and trial number 2. What a sham.
Legal maneuvering that happened before we got into this point. JC, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about.
Hold on.
The defense team's idea to add a lesser included offense of operating a vehicle under the influence of liquor. The first jury did not have this as an option to convict Karen Reed on. I think the defense team saw an opportunity here and said, well, let's give a jury struggling with count 2 an off-ramp. And it seems this jury took it.
Yeah, but what does that say about what they were really struggling with? Because if you heard from our someone to put to, it might have to take out. Or
I think what the defense team saw was an opportunity to
look at that crowd there. Wow.
On one of the charges. And
that's by the SUV.
Avoided that. We'll get more legal analysis on that. Malcolm.
Earlier, I heard Melody compare it to applause that you get from the crowd back and forth here in town. Oh, maybe your Boston Celtics were to have won the championship just a season ago. 500 on the day will come over here. You know, we've been talking to different people about their different emotions and how they're feeling. What it's been
now,
like
Karen should sue
trial,
the prosecutor's office
there's a woman here.
For
if you don't mind. Sorry, don't mean to scare you.
What she went through.
How emotional you were earlier.
Absolutely, 100%. There's a question coming in from DJs.
To know that there's some justice. There really is some justice.
Sorry.
And to know that Karen Reed doesn't have to go through this again. We feel bad for the O'Keefe family because no matter what, they lost a son. And why we don't understand. But now they can find out what happened to their son. So justice was served today, and thank God.
Why has this been so emotional for you and so many others?
Because this could be any one of us. We're all Karen Reed. This could be any one of us. And if you didn't have the
Morrissey sucks. That's what they're chanting.
Where would we be? In jail. We would all be in jail right now. So thank God.
Crazy energy. The O'Keefe family had left at some point there, and then press has rushed out of there. And
all right, Ed. Let's take some questions. I'm gonna pause this. I'm going to go over to Court TV, so I'm going to put you full screen as I scan for another outlet.
Yes, folks, justice was served today. Science and medical findings prevailed. The truth in the accident theory for the prosecution fell apart. No more leaf blowers, no more Stop and Shop bags, no more red Solo cups. Now, these people will be held accountable for how they conduct this investigation, okay? It should be a malicious prosecution lawsuit by Karen Reed and the defense team to try to recoup all the monies that Karen Reed lost in having to fight not one, but two unjustified trials.
Yeah. OUI 1 year probation is nothing, no jail time. She's good to go. Like you said, not guilty of second-degree murder. That carried a sentence of 25 to life. And this is the best possible outcome. And I think it was said by the reporter on NBC 10 that it was a great move by the defense team. Some people were confused by it, but they gave the jury an option to come to some sort of terms. And I think it worked. Let's listen in.
There's Nick Rocco and the rest of the supporters who were inside the courtroom for the verdict.
It's a different angle.
Never experienced anything quite like this and the emotion is real. No, people aren't faking it. They're not forcing it.
– 21 hours.
Christina, even the questioning by the clerk confused people when asking guilty or not guilty, how say you all of this stuff. But the foreperson wanted to make sure that count 2, the top charge, that everybody heard not guilty on that count 2 top charge, but the lesser included charge number 5, OUI, guilty.
Right. Do you think Christina was asked was also insinuating that the chief clerk of the court, that's I don't remember the guy's name, but I should, but I wasn't paying attention to his name, but I know Judge Bev was mentioning him by name. So if someone in the chat could say that was the guy with the glasses, she might have been also referring to him because he didn't seem sure of what he was doing either. You know, the jury foreman. You know, again, we heard him speak, but yeah, he didn't. This may have been his first go around, you know, with this type of situation. But the chief clerk, the head clerk in the court, didn't seem sure of the process either. I don't know. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, there was confusion all around, and I'm sure the jury, in my opinion, I can't wait to hear the jury. I really can't wait because I'm pretty confident they're going to be pissed off at Judge Bev.
Oh yeah.
For not answering their questions, you know, and they're probably pissed at Judge Bev and Brennan for all the objections and the sustaining and all of these things that they wanted information. You could see they wanted information. They wanted to know things, but the court was not allowing them to get that information. Now they sent out 4 questions. Okay. She answered most of them, but the last one she didn't.
Yeah.
Thank God, though. Thank God, because that jury slip that she sent them, the first one, was so convoluted and so full of word salads, and there wasn't need for any of that. Okay, you know. Keep it simple, stupid, right? KISS, that's the principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Guilty, not guilty for each of the charges. Why? Why? It can't be so easy. It's like the freaking hanging chads of the 1999, or the 2000 elections, you know? The hanging chads. Give me a break with this stuff. Why do you make things more complicated than they need to be?
Yeah. You're right, Ed.
And then she takes offense when anybody questions her.
Yeah. I'm trying to scan for any type of interviews, and I don't see anything happening at this point. I'm at Law and Crime right now. I went from Court TV to Law and Crime. Looks like they're just the same feed coming through. I wanted to see if there's any word from the defense team. Do you think we'll hear from them today, Ed?
I think they'll do a presser. Yeah, they're definitely going to do a presser.
They have to. They have to. So yeah, look, we hope that the FBI now will spring into action because we know behind the scenes they've been paying attention to this. There's no possible way that they just turned a blind eye to this. They were waiting for this trial to be over, I believe, and I think this isn't the last we heard of it. But
no, you know, Kerry Roberts got to be shitting a brick because she admitted to perjury in the grand jury, the state grand jury, the Commonwealth's grand jury. Oh, and who knows what she testified in the federal grand jury. So if she perjured herself in the state and the federal, well, yeah. Okay. And then, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think she was a dupe to the McAlberts and their plan here. She was just used. But she fell hook, line, and sinker for it and jumped in with both feet. She's an adult. She chose to do what she did. Okay. Then we got a bunch of other officers that need to be looked at to see if they should still be officers and if they should be charged as well. And then the queen bee herself here of perjurers, Jen McCabe.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And look, let's address this. I mean, ATF agent Brian Higgins after a night of drinking and a night of horsing around inside the Waterfall and various other establishments, he went back to his office at the Canton PD intoxicated. He drove a department vehicle, drove his personal vehicle, went on duty. Who do you know, Ed, goes and clocks in on duty after a night of drinking? And he drove down to New York City, back up to Massachusetts, and then goes inside and does paperwork. So he was on the clock while he was intoxicated. Why is he not fired? Why is he not brought up on charges? Why is he not arrested?
Is that accurate? Is that accurate? I mean, when did he go on duty?
That's 100% accurate. He stated on the record that he went back to do paperwork.
Right, that's what he testified to, and then he was shuffling cars in the parking lot, right, while he was drunk.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. That's what he stated, his own words. He went back and he was on video inside. We watched that video of him walking inside.
Well, he also testified he wasn't on a phone in trial one. He didn't have a phone call at that time in the morning. When we could see that he clearly lied because he was texting, and he was on the phone when he came out of the Canton PD to shuffle the cars around. He was on the phone talking to somebody. Okay. So that's perjury as well.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. And, that's what I wanted to keep bringing that back up, because when you look at the players here, and look, Sergeant Yuri Buchanan, Massachusetts State trooper who was a supervisor in charge of all of these clowns, that whole squad. It's not just Michael Proctor, the other 4 detectives, the other 4 troopers who are in that homicide squad. They all should be reassigned. And Trooper Buchanan, Sergeant Buchanan, he shouldn't be a sergeant, because he clearly showed that he's not capable of supervising. He's not capable of conducting a proper investigation. This guy's a piece of
supervising investigation, or doing his paperwork, or handling evidence. Nothing. He's not capable of anything, and he shouldn't be in law enforcement anymore.
Message agreed. Let's watch it one last time, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll take some questions from the audience. Here's a replay of the verdict. More of Bev breathing in the mic. Look at the look on the face of the court reporter. Look at her. Yeah. She looks like she knows already. Look at her frown.
The deliberating jurors remain standing. Defendant
she's part of the problem, too.
Bodies may be seated.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that 12 deliberating jurors and 6 alternates are present?
Yes.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict? Yes. Thank you. May I see the papers? Mr. Foreman, has the verdict slip been placed in this envelope, and have they been in your presence ever since?
Bev just shit herself. It's cut off anyways.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you? No. Yes. Do you agree? Yes. Do all of you agree? Yes. Thank you. 002, what say is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty? Not guilty.
Of?
Is not guilty or guilty of that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all?
Yes.
003, what say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records it. You, upon your oath, say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
I'm glad they did.
All right, jurors, everybody please be seated.
Jurors, we thank you for your service. We're going to send you back to service at the state. I'd like to see that and talk to you a little bit afterwards. So thank you very much.
All rise. Recall me.
The adrenaline rush going through them right now is like off the charts.
Tremendous. Look at the emotion.
Media, please exit the courtroom immediately. Karen Reed? Not yet.
Tony,
Hold on,
not yet.
hold on, everyone. Karen Reed, Ms. Reed, can I have your attention? As required by statute, I must inform you that the records regarding the charges that you have been found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation in writing within 10 days that you do not want these records sealed. To request that these records not be sealed, you may use the Request Not to Seal form, which is posted on the trial court's website on mass.gov. I cannot accept the form here in court. You must submit it to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form. Please be aware that if the records regarding the charges which you have been found not guilty are sealed, you will be unable to access the sealed record of the not guilty dispositions or any other records regarding those charges. If you want copies of any documents regarding those charges before the records are sealed, you should request copies from the court within 10 days. Do you understand? Thank you.
All right, so we need a date for sentencing. Can we do it next week?
And we would be prepared to go forward today.
Okay. Okay.
So did they have a sidebar? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We missed that. Yeah. So they had a sidebar, and then during the sidebar, he said 1 year probation and 24-day program.
Let's see if he comes, but they come back on the record with that. Yeah, that's when she found out right there, probation. Unetti.
All right, so Ms. Unetti, you're ready to go forward today as well?
Yes, please.
Hey, Mr. Brennan, what's the Commonwealth's recommendation?
Here we
The
go.
Commonwealth moves to sentencing. We recommend probation, 1 year, 24D program.
So the standard that everybody else gets on a first-time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
Oh, she had to say that. She had to say
I'm
that.
happy to do it. All right, thank you all.
All right, done.
1 year probation.
Done. Okay,
1 year
it's over.
probation.
What?
It's over. There's no.
Yeah.
It's it.
It's a wrap. It's a
She's
wrap.
not coming back to see this judge again.
Nope. She's free. And again, nothing more, nothing less. I want to just say thank you to everybody who has stayed and hung out with us for our nightly recaps of this Karen Read retrial sham. Ed and I really appreciate the new subscribers, the returning subscribers, and the folks who positively engage in this community. Our moderators and the replay viewers, we love you guys and girls. But I want to thank people who have been here from the beginning and all along the way, because there's not many trials. I could say off the top of my head, there's just 1 or 2 cases that we followed from the beginning to the end. And following this trial, again, we covered the first one. We covered the second one more in depth, and I want to thank everyone for sticking in there. There was a lot of people who, just couldn't stomach it, just couldn't, it was just too much for them, but they would check in. So Ed and I thank you for being here. Thank you for, this isn't the last of it. This isn't over. We still have Sandra Birchmore, that to follow that case as well. But we want to thank you all for being here. And Kristen, thank you for being behind the scenes and doing all of that great work that you do for us. I'm at work, so it's kind of hard for me. I got to actually go back and get back to the office and get back to normal stuff. So I want to thank you all. Ed, I know you've got something to say to some of the folks here, and you've been unbelievable with this, Ed.
Well, I want to say a shout out to Melanie Little. And all she's done with this case through both trials. Want to shout out to Be in Trouble. Shout out to all those other YouTube creators that got the science, got the medical findings, understood it, understood the injustices that were being perpetrated here, understood the corruption as well, understood all of the protocols and procedures that were violated here, and most importantly, understood that we all could be Karen Read in this jurisdiction. Any one of us could have found ourselves in this situation in that jurisdiction, and this cannot be tolerated. This cannot be tolerated. I want to thank you all for your support. I want to thank you all for spending all this time with us, you know, on this coverage. I want to thank the jury for, you know, their findings, and I can't wait to hear from you all. But most importantly, folks, thank you for your support. Stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen to that, Brother Ed. Thank you so much. And again, we give the shout outs to all the channels who have been covering this, especially Attorney Melanie Little, but, you know, Be in Trouble, many others who have been on this and given lots of great insight. I know that will be many more interviews with Karen Read and the defense team. We'll have those uploaded onto the channel. Again, I'm at work, so it's hard for me to jump on every little thing here. Thank you, and I'm going to send prayers, strength, and positive vibes to the O'Keefe family, and also prayers and strength to the Reed family. They are breathing a sigh of relief today. Justice has been served, and they got it right. As Ed said, thank you to that jury, the entire jury. They got it right. They listened to the science. They listened and paid attention to the evidence, and they got it right. So thank you for all being here, and we love you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace and love from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed.